Welcome back, everybody. Tuesday night. This means it's Talk Openly with Lions Roar Dharma Center. My name's Jac, and I'm here with my lovely friend Daniel. It's wonderful to see you, Daniel, as always.
It's good to be with you, Jack. Hello, everybody in Talk
Yeah.
Openly Land.
I hope everyone's doing well. It's a beautiful spring day here where I'm at in Washington, and just really enjoying the turn of the season very much.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah. So tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about the concept of nonviolent communication and how it kind of connects to right speech in Buddhism. And yeah, we've talked about this topic before, Daniel, but I think it's just kind of always prevalent and at work in my daily life, really,
Yeah.
trying to find ways to engage with right speech. So I'm glad we're talking about it.
Same, same. It's sort of a perennial topic, but kind of top of mind for me because I was at a nonviolent communication workshop on Sunday.
Okay, so you'll be able to give us the primer.
Heck yeah, I'll give the
Yeah,
primer for sure.
nice. Cool. All right. Well, how's life? How are you doing? What's practice like?
Oh my gosh. It's been kind of interesting. So I'm really like just continuing with my studies into this one single book by the Dalai Lama, How to See
Mm.
Yourself as You Really Are. So reading it, rereading it, meditating on each and every topic, thinking about every logic point until my head hurts, and just like I think it's fascinating, when when we're open to when how's that old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that given that, I'm so sort of like focused on this particular topic, the universe has given me a lot to a lot of practice objects, I guess, or to so to
Okay.
speak.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Um, and so it's been really interesting, because the whole point is to sort of um, uh, figure out, what we really mean by emptiness or no self, right? Interdependence, and particularly the no self aspect of it, which I think it's kind of fascinating because all along, like I'm like, yeah, no problem. Intellectually, I get it. I get it. And then I'm like, I start to kid myself into thinking like, yeah, I really get it,
Yeah. I
Uh,
super get it. No big deal.
Right, right. And so then like I read through the book, the first time and I'm like, yeah, I think I get it. I thought I knew more, I thought I got it better than but okay, that's fine. And then when I really sit with it, I'm like, oh, I don't get it, or
Mm.
rather more like like he says it's weird, but like he's like, so I did a lot. I did all this work, right? And then I get like I'm like, okay, I see what he's talking about. Like I'm able to see what it is, the object that is to be negated, and so on. And I'm like, okay, so proud of myself. And
Mm.
then the next thing he says is like, and that's of limited value.
Whoa.
And he's like, because it's like there's these coarse layers, and then there's the more refined, more subtle layers. And I'm like, oh, I just made it through the coarse layer.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
for sure.
he's like anybody could do that.
Yeah, I think I've also experienced that. And yeah, I do every once in a while. Well, actually, lately I've been doing it quite frequently is one of his meditations from becoming enlightened. And it sounds, very similar to what you're talking about, just really systematically looking point by point at, how could the self actually exist when you look for it in these different ways, like you can't find it.
Yeah.
Um, and so I go through those points and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty absurd to think
Yeah.
that it's there when I've examined and I just like can't find it. And what I'm making up as possibilities are just not possible.
Right.
And so, like I come to that kind of logical conclusion. It's like, okay, there's no inherent essential self. Um, and yet it feels like it. I think that's the thing is that it still feels like it in
Right.
my day-to-day life. And yeah, I had Darshan with Lama a couple of weekends ago, and I was kind of like riffing on that a little bit. And he like just kind of paused, and like took a moment and was like, yeah, it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, yeah, I'm just kind of like spouting off like
Right.
really basic
Yeah.
beginner
Right.
stuff, and
Right.
like not even really understanding that. And it's like he was just so kind,
Yeah.
It takes a lot of practice.
That, I think that kindness, I see that also, in the way that the Dalai Lama presents the subject in his book, where he's like, don't worry, like you'll get it. Like it's fine. Like this is normal, like you have to start and you're gonna go through the course layers and you have to keep coming back to it again and
Mhm.
again and again. And one thing that he points out from, I believe, a previous Dalai Lama is that this search, which we kind of sometimes think is over, um, that it has to be very alive,
Mhm.
right? Until the root is cut, so to speak. Like it has to be active and alive. You can't just sort of go like, oh yeah, right, empty. Oh right, it's empty. There's no self. I get it. If you do that, it's like as good. Like it's not working, right?
You really have to feel it.
You have to
Feel there's
really, really feel it. And part of so that part's been really good for me, right? Where I'm like, oh, right, because I can kind of cognitively lightly just be like, yeah, 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 whatever, I get it.
hmm
But I part of the way that this has affected my life is that I am bouncing between the two extremes, right? So I'm a nihilist by nature. That's my habitual pattern,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And man alive, did it cause sort of a flare up in my nihilism. And then, and I'm like, well, I shouldn't say it caused, but I just say like, they somehow or other, the cause and conditions for like extreme sort of nihilistic feelings started popping up.
hmm
And then I knew, I was like, uh-huh, that's one of the extremes to be avoided,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
understand. I'm like, but still can't change the fact that that's still where I'm at, right?
yeah.
But then the weird thing is I would bounce all the way other to the other extreme, right? So before I came into Buddhism, I studied a decent amount of Advaita Vedanta, right? Which, essentially feels like Buddhism, except it maintains the self,
Yeah.
right? A lot of the practices I think are somewhat similar, and I think is informed by Buddhism, but at the end of the day, they're still sort of like, and there you are, right?
hmm
And I kept kind of coming back to that. And I'm like, I noticed, I'm like, yeah, I want to, oh, like, I'm like, oh, the mind only school, right? Everything is mind. And so mind is like the substrate, right? Or a pure, a primordial awareness. That is it, right?
Right, right. Yeah.
That's
That's
the
it.
ground,
Yeah.
right? And then like the whole Madhyamaka school that the Dalai Lama is teaching from here is like, no. That too is
hmm
dependently arisen.
Right.
All of it. All of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a hard, like I find myself sort of like, so it's nice because as I bounce between these two extremes, I do at some point make my way through the middle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like for a brief moment, I'll be like, oh, and then boom, back into
Yeah.
the other extreme. So
Right.
yeah, that part's
Mm.
really fascinating to watch how like you can't just like take it on faith and convince yourself through like pure sort of like just internal
Yeah,
debate.
no. You really have to examine, break things apart, really come to the conclusion. And there is this kind of, is that like the dawning of like realization or recognition or insight, that happens, that there's a physical quality to it, at least in my experience, when I really feel like, okay. there's some genuine deep understanding here, or at least a flicker of it. There's also a physical experience
Hmm. Hmm.
that's really interesting. Um,
You're talking about beyond just the dopamine hit of learning something new?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's that. Um, I don't totally know. It feels different, I
Yeah.
think, than, you know, like when I think about the excitement of learning something academically, there's like I don't know, like I'm kind of like, okay, give me more. I want to know it
Yeah,
all, you know?
yeah.
Whereas like the kind of recognition insight stuff is like a kind of a settling.
That's right. I get what you're saying. I totally get what
Yeah.
you're saying. I did have a, kind of an interesting night actually last night. So I'm one of those people that just like sleeps, whatever, right? Like I just
Mhm.
no problem going to sleep, no problem staying asleep. But last night I kept waking up again and
Huh.
again and again, right? And it was this weird free floating anxiety, not specific to no particular anything. You know what I mean? Just,
Mhm.
but like I used to have that all the time, where I'd be like woken up in the middle of the night with dread and panic and anxiety and stuff. It was not like that bad, but I was like,
Yeah.
I woke up and I'd be like, whoa, like there's that. And then I'd be like, oh, look at that. Isn't this nice? There's the spotlight right there on
Mm.
this self, right? And then I'd be like, okay, let me start searching. So I'd start applying, like, be like, okay, is it here? Is it there? Is it this? Is it that? Is it one? Is it two? Is it?
Mhm.
And I would get like maybe halfway done, I'd fall back asleep again, very
Yeah.
relaxed, just like,
Yeah.
because I felt physically actually this, like went from the tightness of this anxious sort of mind. And then as I began to look for it, it relaxed and I'd just fall back asleep. And then it would
Yeah.
come back again and I'd be like, oh. And I'd start applying, like I'd be like, okay, start looking for it again. And then I fell back asleep. So it was fascinating. I'm like, that's what I mean. Like the universe sort of like delivers, right? Like it was
For sure.
a neat experience. Like I wasn't upset about it or anything. And it wasn't like I woke up perfectly fine, but it was just like throughout the night, I kept like having these opportunities to look for the self and have it be like the gross level, the coarse level, that is, and
Right.
have it be present like that. So vivid, so clear.
How interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's inspirational, for maybe for folks who are listening who have struggle with insomnia or something,
Or
using
anxiety.
or anxiety,
Yeah.
use that time, right? It can, especially like the witching hour times, like that can be a really fruitful time for meditation and introspection. I mean, it can also be like just a really hard time to be awake. So I get it. That it would be, but to turn your mind towards something virtuous like that, like, okay, I'm examining this. I'm going over what I've learned. That is such a great way to use that time. That's, would otherwise you just be stressed out and,
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah, and
fall
I
back
really
asleep.
do. I mean, like I maybe it's because my brother claims that I'm pronoic. I think I may have mentioned this before,
Yeah.
like that instead of being paranoid, I think everything's like working to my advantage. And so it may be like that it's just my pronoia sort of shining through, but I really am like I think that my mind was really just doing this to give me something to work with because I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like sitting there during the daytime and I've got all kinds of, like distractions or whatever going on, and I'm trying to apply try to learn, try to see this, try to apply the teachings, and then it's like, well, hey, let's just wait until everything's nice and calm, and then we'll like let you see it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh, nice work, buddy.
Yay, yay, thanks. Yeah. So anyway, that's me. That's me.
Yeah,
Yeah. What about
cool.
you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, my practice is good. I'm also like I described, doing the kind of contemplation on the self and the no self. Um, that's been really good. Um, Yeah, I'm excited for the time when I don't have to return to that, like it's just knowledge. Um, that was also something that Lama reminded me of was like, okay, so the metaphor, the story that he tells of like, if you lose a diamond from your ring, you're gonna go over every single like tiny square of a room and cordon off each square, right? To know like, okay, I've already looked at that. I don't need to look there again. I'll keep
Yeah.
going, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm also thinking about that like, is there some level of understanding that I have come to that I don't need to like be going over and over again? I don't think I'm there yet, but I'm wondering what that will be like when I feel like, oh yeah, I don't actually like, yeah, I know that. I don't need to look at that again. That's an interesting thing to
Hmm.
think about.
Hmm.
Um, so keeping that in mind while also returning to it over and over again is good practice. Um, and I've also been doing like a lot of just kind of reverie sit,
Mm.
and being really okay with that and
Yeah.
actually inviting it. And that's been really good for me. Um, like just to sit in front of my statue and pictures of my teachers and not really have my attention anywhere in particular or have any practice going on, but just really just being there and noticing what comes up. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's been great. I
Mm.
find that I'm enjoying my time sitting more, I think partially because of that. So like when I go to sit for shamatha, I'm like, for one, I'm better prepared for it. But also it like feels better. Like
Sure.
I'm enjoying it more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which then of course makes me want to keep coming back. So that's a good thing. Um, so yeah, it's in a cool place. I'm feeling like, just that kind of like fondness feeling,
Mm.
which is nice, the fondness for the practice and gratitude for the practice.
Mm. You're closer to the center of the labyrinth.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know I'm not wiling out quite as much the last
Nice.
couple weeks. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I just like also, really like committing to Bodhisattva practice. Um, like it's just incredible that we have such access to these teachings. I know we talk about it a lot, but the people I meet with, I'm like, oh man, like if this person just like
Right.
found the Dharma or something,
Oh, oh,
or like, man, what if our society had more Dharma training, just broad-based? Wow, some of these problems wouldn't even be here. And then
right.
I just feel that kind of outpouring of like, oh, wow, like we really got to share this stuff. And
Exactly.
and of course, share it with our presence, sometimes with words. Right. But so that's been kind of good to be feeling. And also just really feeling the Buddha nature in
Right.
everybody.
Yeah.
Um, really like enjoying seeing it come out, especially in the people who are like tough, seem like they're tough nuts to crack, but um their Buddha
You're
nature.
rejoicing in the virtuous actions of all ordinary beings.
Yeah, I love it.
I think the part that you where you're like, it's interesting because you know that you can't go out and convert anybody, right? You
Yeah.
can't bring somebody in and be like, "You're sit down, you're gonna do this, and it's gonna work for you, and it's gonna make everything better." But it is kind of a neat experience to kind of sit there and be like, "Oh, I so wish you had I wish I could give you what I'm experiencing here, you know?
Yeah.
I so badly want you to have this."
Yeah.
That there's a warmth and like a kind of a like an outpouring of love. Like it's weird, so because it's both an expression or a feeling of gratitude that you're experiencing yourself, but also
Hmm.
this sort of like, it's so good. I wish other people had this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is that kind of desperation in Bodhisattva practice,
Mm.
where there's like the outpouring of love and it's knowing that there's so much suffering. Like, oh, if only, if only
Hmm.
I could just give this to you, how beautiful. But yeah, so that's nice to have a little bit more of that lightness there. I like walking around grocery stores or like other places like that and just thinking about like all these beings are my beloveds, you know?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite like kind of in the world practices is just yeah, look at all these like Buddhas to be. How wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
It is. It softens like it takes an otherwise a mind that might project other things onto them, right? And then it turns out that, like, that this whole interdependence thing is that these beings, they exist not just, dependent upon causes and conditions, not just dependent on their parts, but dependent on thought as well. Their thoughts, but also your thoughts, right? So
Hmm.
they exist in your world as you think of them. And so if
Yeah.
you're going through the grocery store and you're like, ah, stupid people and whatever, right? Then that's kind of what they are,
Yeah.
right? And if you
Yeah.
walk through the grocery store being like, look at all these beautiful Buddhas. Wow, right? Then that's what
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is transformational.
Totally
There's a reason we have
transformational.
these practices.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I love that we can that in fact, that is the magic, right? That that we can turn in sort of an ordinary or poor thought into a positive, extraordinary, wonderful one.
Sounds like some Lojong right there.
All right, all right, all right. Nice turning point. Uh-oh, it kicked me
Uh,
out of. No,
oh no.
no. Hang on a second. Let me get it.
Daniel's pulling up our
Oh, we
random
don't.
Lojong slogan generator, which I cannot say 5 times fast. Um, and this is just one of my favorite parts of our evening together. Acquire the three root causes. This is our one for tonight. According to Charles Kyabgon, the three causes are one, the spiritual friend, two, the spiritual instructions, and three, a supportive environment. The three root causes. It's interesting. So I have a deck of Lojong cards, but they're Pema Chodron has like a little bit of commentary on the back of each one,
Hmm.
and they're called compassion cards. And I have a coworker who's been coming by every so often and pulling a card. And he pulled this one recently. And it was interesting just to hear, someone talk about it from like a um, non-Buddhist or kind of not, or like a secular perspective. Um, and just to hear, like, yeah, like we need teachers, and we need like some kind of path rather than just random instructions. It's really helpful to have an organized path.
Yeah.
And then yeah, of course, the supportive environment. How else are we going to do it?
Yeah.
But yeah, that it was just kind of fun to
It's sweet.
have
That's
that.
sweet. I
Yeah.
mean, because it is the truth, right? Like the good news is that, because of this emptiness, interdependence, and constant change, right? This impermanence, that it gives an opportunity for change, right? For something to modify patterns of behavior and thought and all of that. But what is it that does the modification? It's these three root causes, right? Like we can see the influence upon us, from our teachers, right? Like doesn't have to be, we're not talking, doesn't have to be your guru, right? Like
Mm,
just a teacher can
mm,
change your world, right? And
absolutely.
learning something new. I mean, again, doesn't even have to be spiritual instructions. Like just learning something new can radically transform your life. And same goes for the environment. Like the students that you're with in school or the people who are around you who are helping you, implement your practices and all of that. Like you couldn't do it without them. So
Yeah.
These ingredients are vital for change.
Yeah. Absolutely. Who do we have here?
Look at that, it's
Oh yeah.
Manjushri.
Yeah.
I
I
love
remember
this
this
one.
statue.
Yeah.
Nice.
Huh. Ah,
Tibet 1100s.
yeah. Amazing. Cool.
All right.
All right, all right, all right.
Was that a double-sworded Manjushri
I
or
was.
wow, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Yeah. Oh,
um,
that's awesome. I want that. I
yeah,
want like the double sword. Yeah.
exactly. Right.
Cool.
Mm.
Well, Daniel, talking about right speech tonight, nonviolent communication. It sounds like you had a cool experience, a
Yeah.
workshop. I'd love to hear what kind of prompted you to do it and yeah, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so my good friend Jack, he got into so I've been aware of and I've read nonviolent communication a long time ago and I've thought about it a lot, you know. But my friend Jack got into it a couple of years ago and he loved it so much that he started organizing workshops around
Mm,
nonviolent communication and having qualified, you know, teachers come in to teach to do trainings. And so I helped him, you know, organize last year, but I couldn't make it to the event itself. And this year, he was like, "You gotta come, right? Like, it's nice that you're helping me organize it, but like I want you to come there."
yeah,
And
yeah.
I gotta tell you, like, I'm actually, as much as I love the three root causes there, um, teachers and teachings and supportive environments in schools, I am resistant.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, ugh. Like a half day on a
Oh man,
weekend talking about nonviolent communication.
it's a lot.
I was like, I don't know, man. But you know, I did the smart thing. I
Uh-huh.
didn't as soon as he asked me, it was so far in advance. I was like, oh yeah, that's like it's not here now. I could just
Yeah,
book. I'll just
no
go
big
ahead and just
deal.
sign. I'll just sign up for it. And then I was kind of in, you
Yeah.
know. So I didn't have to like vacillate on that. And I'm glad I didn't because um you know, it was quite wonderful to get in there, and 4 hours with nonviolent communication training is nothing.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
you're just scratching barely the surface, right?
Hmm.
It's a primer, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, you know, I what I loved about it was that it was just going over the basics with a little bit of like hands-on training and we were encouraged to bring in a low level issue or set, you know, something that wasn't super triggering or anything, just something that we could
Hmm.
work with that would be easy. So everybody brought their stuff in, and it was really wonderful to see both with my own stuff and also with everybody else's how transformational the process was for the various issues that people brought in, right? And how
Mm.
enlightening it was, and how you know, so one of the points that was made in this, the teacher, her name was Rebecca, something or other. I'll have to remember her name, but she was quite wonderful. She was very gentle, and she reminded us a couple of times, you know, that nonviolent communication is actually for us,
Mm.
right? It's not
Hmm.
about trying to accomplish a particular goal. It's not about
Right.
changing other people. It's not about a particular
Convincing.
Yeah, it's not about trying to get a particular outcome or winning a debate or any of that stuff. It's really about changing our mind,
Mm.
changing how we view things, and so that our intention can be modified so that it's a lot more peaceful. And then to sort of trust that that's going to lead to the best outcome possible. It may not be the outcome that you want, but it will be a non-violent from your side communication.
Mm.
You know,
Hmm.
and I really appreciated that. And she also was very, you know, she's like, hey, this is not for everybody all the time. You know, like she was like a lot of people learn nonviolent communication and try to apply it all the time everywhere. And that's irritating and nobody's gonna like you, you know. So,
Uh-huh.
you know, take it easy. Like this is really about you practicing. And I think that's the part that I wanted to bring in here is that from a Buddhist point of view, right speech isn't a thing, right? It's a practice. It's something
Mm,
that you're always working on, always paying attention to, mindfully aware of the thoughts that precede, right? And then
mhm,
mindfully aware of the timing and the and context and who we're talking to and all of that, how we're saying things, right? And very much very similar to that is the nonviolent communication in terms of how it breaks it down and makes you really like just slow it down a little bit.
mm.
Think about what you're going to say before you say it. And it's nice that they give a framework for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to hear a little bit about there's like a kind of like four parts to the approach of nonviolent communication, right? Um
Yep. And
and
it goes by it's they call it OFNR, which I don't think is very memorable.
yeah.
OFNR, which
Uh-huh.
stands for mm, observations, feelings, needs, and requests.
Mm,
That's sort of the breakdown of how you take a particular communication and change it into a nonviolent communication.
mm,
So we'll just go through it kind of high level. So observation is like normally when we see a situation, we're so fused when we observe something, we're so fused with it that our judgments and everything kind of co-arises and it
mhm.
happens so quickly that we think that that's actually what's happening, right?
Right.
This person's shopping, they got in front of me in the line and they cut me off and they're a jerk and how dare
Mhm.
they, and, all of that, and it all kind of comes together. The observation is like pretend like you're a camera that's just on the wall and it's
Mhm.
just recording the scene. So what is observed, not how not we're not getting to feelings or judgment or anything, just like what did you observe? I observed a shopping cart get in front of me in
Mm,
line, something
mhm.
like that, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And then there's the feelings. Oh, how do I feel?
Yeah.
Right? And I love this. This is like sensory awareness practice on the one hand because you're like my body, oh, I'm tight here. I'm
Mhm.
grimacing and my fists are balled up or whatever, right? And then from that, like learning how to be like, oh, well, I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling, and the cool part is one of the neat things within nonviolent communication is there's feelings and then there's faux feelings,
Oh,
right?
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So like I feel betrayed.
Yeah. Right.
No,
It
no,
makes
no,
the
no.
assumption that the person intended to betray you.
That's
Yeah.
a that's not
Yeah.
that's not a feeling.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Right.
But it's interesting because within our language it'd be fine to say I feel betrayed. Like,
Yeah.
people would, yeah.
Yeah,
They
or like I feel like you did this on purpose. That's
Thank you.
not a
That's
feeling,
right.
right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel yeah, exactly. But so feelings, then of course underneath those, it turns out that the feelings are covering over a fundamental need on our part. So if you go back to the shopping cart thing, you know, you want to feel seen.
Mm,
You want to feel respected. You want to feel, whatever, like you belong. You're like whatever. Not everybody has the same needs, right? So
yeah,
the needs there underneath the feelings are fundamental, basic human needs, but they show up in different people in different ways, right?
right.
But uncovering those needs, I thought one of the things that was really interesting that people brought out, they were like, "Oh man, I actually just became aware that I had feelings, let alone needs."
Right.
How like people said that in the workshop. They're like, and I relate to that. I'm like, oh right. It was weird because not that long ago, I was like, I don't have any feelings.
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Of course, that's all changed now, but
Yeah.
yeah, I practice a lot with feelings. So but
Mm,
it's fun. People are like, yeah, I barely even knew that I wasn't even aware that I had feelings, and now you're telling me to go deeper into these needs. And it turns out, and that was one of the discovery processes in the workshop.
mm,
People being like, it's true. I actually do want to feel supported, or I want to,
uh,
one of my needs is to be seen or validated or connected. I need
mm,
to be able to communicate effectively. Whatever, like it was really beautiful because like for people to begin to sort of recognize their needs and express it, because you could see that there there was that stuff had been covered up and protected in some sort of way, right? So
yeah.
that's the O is the observation, F is the feelings, and then we get to N is needs, and then the last one is R, request. What what would you like to request? Not a demand, nothing like that, but like what
Mm,
would you like to
mm,
request the other party? Like what would you want to have happen here that would satisfy your needs, right? And I think the cool part about the request is that it's a bit of a mind mess, right? Because
mm,
within nonviolent communication, it's never about demands.
right.
You have to be willing to hear no to
Right.
your request. And you have to be able to say, like, if I hear no to my request, like that's not going to completely ruin everything, right? Because if they
Mm,
can't say no, that's not freedom and that's not nonviolent,
right.
right? If we can't
Exactly.
respect the other person's autonomy, then if or there's consequences, like if you don't say yes or do what I want you to do, if it doesn't matter if it's just your tone or the implication or whatever, deep down inside, your intention has to be like, oh, right, I'm simply making a request, right? Which softens
Mm,
the whole thing up, right?
hmm
Because when you
hmm
can't demand it, that's what people struggled a lot with. They were like, but I need them to fill in the
Yeah.
blank, whatever it is, right? They
Yeah.
have to do that. No, no, they don't. You can ask for it, you can request it, whatever, right? And so that's the basic. That's
Mm,
like the high level sort of like basics of a nonviolent communication. And I
yeah.
think it goes hand in hand with right speech, like the framework that there's not so much uh, a well mapped out framework for right speech. Of course, there's a lot of teachings on it, but you know, like
There's not like the point. Well, I'd be curious to know, maybe there is a point by point in Tibetan Buddhism. They do love lists in
oh, there's
Tibetan
lots of
Buddhism.
lists. That's what I'm saying. There's lots of lists and teachings on it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? For
Yeah. Yeah.
sure, for sure. I would just say there's not a single framework.
Yeah. Sure.
It's
Sure. Sure.
more like this is the general sort of overview of what we mean by right speech, because right speech is much broader, much broader than nonviolent communication. Nonviolent communication is interpersonal,
Mm.
primarily. Like, certainly we want to use nonviolent speech with ourselves, but right speech covers our thoughts, right? It
Hmm
covers,
hmm
lots of different forms of communication besides just this sort of
Right.
interpersonal stuff.
I know. So tying them together a little bit, like
Hmm.
one aspect of right speech is just, being truthful. Um, and I think that really connects with the strict observation
Yes.
aspect of NVC, where it's
Yes.
like I can only say what I can observe happened rather than what my mind is spinning out on what it meant and what, it could have been, what they might have been thinking, that's not truthful. I don't know if that happened. And so yeah, that right speech and being like, okay, here's what I can factually observe and describe
Right.
happening that did, impact me. Um, and I think like there's an element here that just keeps reminding me of like asking for consent. Um, because like if I'm making assumptions about someone's behavior, something they said or the way they said it, then I'm not letting them consent to my view of them.
Right.
Um, and so yeah, there's just something interesting there for me about allowing people to maybe even, share where they were coming from, right? Like,
Hmm.
okay, yeah, I can see I did this and it impacted you this way. Ideally the person would apologize, right? And then maybe if there was an opportunity to share, like, here's where I was coming from, that's good. Um, but yeah, that opportunity to consent, right? Rather than have assumptions placed on you, is really, really just it's so compassionate, right? Um,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
when we project onto other people, that is violence,
it is.
right?
Yeah.
Because we are, as you're indicating, we're forcing our view and
Mhm.
misconstrued view at that onto them, and then expecting them to live by it, to perform by it, to adopt it, to abide by it. Be like, yeah,
Mm.
that's true. They don't even know what your freaking view is necessarily, right?
Right.
And yet you expect them to be that, and I think that you're absolutely right. Like, is it possible? And I think this goes way beyond, this is in the right speech area for sure, which is like, can we actually see things the way they are, right?
Mhm.
Um, Without all of the cliches involved, right? So
Mm.
when we get down to it, again, this is just because I'm thinking about all this, no self stuff, right? Then what are we? Well, okay, so we have these aggregates, right? Form, feeling, perception, all this, right?
Mhm.
We have these senses, the sensory input that's coming in. And then it's getting mixed up with all of our beliefs and attitudes and judgments and habits and misunderstandings and all of this stuff that it gets blended with. And it happens so fast.
So fast.
And we believe it. In the words of the Dalai Lama, we assent to it again and
Mm.
again and again and again. It's one of the main points he drives home in the book is we are constantly assenting to our misperceived selves and our misperceived notions of the world, right?
Mm.
And if we
That's
can,
really interesting. Yeah.
right, if we can slow it down, observe, right? Observe what actually happened, including within ourselves, right?
Mm.
Oh, I see. My body tightened. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my
Mm-hmm.
body tightened. Oh, I noticed I had thoughts, angry thoughts. I had memories. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are the things that I witnessed, right?
Right.
And the cool part about this, and this is true definitely with the experience with nonviolent communication, is as soon as you just do the very first step, the observation, everything chills the fuck out.
Hmm.
Everything just like this thing that you're all bound up with, just with that very first step, before you even start delving into feelings and needs and stuff, just the observation, people are like, oh, oh, I see. Like in my case, for example, I wasn't like fuming mad, but I had, sent a message to a group of people who had requested my help, and I'd put some effort into it. And then
Mm.
I like really was like, here, all right, guys, here you go. What do you think of this?
Mm.
And it'd been over a week without a response,
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was like, this is so irritating. It was a perfect low level thing to bring in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I noticed as soon as I observed, my only observation was I know that the email was received, and I know that I have not received any other, I know nothing else.
Yeah.
And so because there was uncertainty, my mind hates uncertainty. So it just filled in. Oh my God, it filled in all the details.
Right.
It's because
Right.
this guy's like this, and this person's like that, and that, whatever,
And they
right?
always do this, and they
They
never
always do
do
that,
this.
right? I'm so good and they're so bad.
If they only knew what I was going through.
That's right. That's right. And so like literally just writing down I only had two observations.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
much to not a whole lot to go off of there, right?
Right.
And so you could
Right.
totally see how it just takes the wind right out of the sails,
It
and then you're
really
like,
does. This is
oh,
one of the core skills of I mean of therapy in general, but of, cognitive behavior therapy. because it's all about like, is there some way that our thoughts are not helping us or not really realistic? And so, I can, share an example that I also struggle with, but that a person I worked with was talking about just like reading into text messages, like reading into like tone or like, oh, they didn't use an exclamation mark when they usually do, or what does that emoji mean? Um, and and so that person's homework over the week was to really examine their responses to text messages and to try and think of every alternative other than what they were thinking it meant,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And so that part is really interesting where, when we look at the observation, okay, they put a period instead of an exclamation mark. That's what I observe. That's it. That, for one, it doesn't really mean much. It probably doesn't mean much, but it could be so many other things than what I'm thinking, which is that they're annoyed with me, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Or
A
they're
hundred-
tired of me, they're
Yeah.
bored, they don't want to
Right.
be texting me, right?
Yeah.
All those things that just spin out. Um, and so yeah, you're right, it really diffuses things from the get-go.
Right. Right. Well, and that key word diffuses, right? So I've been working through some acceptance and commitment therapy
Oh,
practices,
great.
ACT therapy.
Hmm.
And there's this wonderful, wonderful book called A Liberated Mind. It's fantastic, wonderful
Ooh,
stuff. And it's by the person who started the whole ACT thing, right?
okay.
And one of the core key number one things is diffusion,
Diffusion. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the idea being that we are fused with these thoughts. That's that whole thing, right? That everything, the awareness of a thing, our perception of it, our feelings of it, our needs, all of our everything, it all just comes boom. And we think of that as like the truth. That's just how it is,
Mm.
right? But then that's because we, ourself, our misconstrued, misperceived self is fused with all of that stuff together, right? It's all around. This misperceived self is literally arising with all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so it shows up and we believe it. It's freaking solid. We know it's truth.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
and it's embarrassing and
It is
humbling,
embarrassing.
right? As soon as you
Yeah.
begin, when you say, wait a second, look at the text message, observe, oh, period, and not exclamation mark. That's
Yep,
embarrassing.
it is.
You're like,
Yeah.
really? You got into a whole hissy fit. You spent your
Right.
whole day mad at this person. You engaged in negative actions. You caused harm. You
Yeah.
ruined your relationship with this person because you observed a period rather than an exclamation mark.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy, our thoughts can
Whew,
really, really get us in trouble, huh?
right? Yeah. I used
Yeah.
to, what you said, that thing about the text messages, I used to do that with my kids a decent amount when they would like, and not just my kids, when people go off, they're like, and Jack sent me this message and they like read it out, right? And they read it with such fury and passion,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then I'm like, oh man, can I see it? Like that sounds terrible. Can I see it? The message itself? And then
Yeah.
hand me the phone, and then I'll be like, I'll read it in a monotone, just "Mrr," and
Uh-huh.
they look at me and they're like, "That's not what they said."
Right. Oh, I bet that made them pissed sometimes, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because you're taking the air out of it, huh?
People don't like
Yeah.
that, and I'm glad you said that, Jack. I'm really glad that you said that because one thing that I observed at the nonviolent communication workshop is at least one person who struggled for the entire duration
Mm.
because they wanted something to fix the problem,
Hmm.
right? And they weren't there to change their mind, to change their judgment. none of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I witnessed, again and again and again, this poor man. I mean, he was struggling and he was suffering. He was there
Mm.
for 4 hours, just painful.
Right
Like
into
none
it.
of this stuff is gonna work. It's never gonna do what I want it to do, And I could see clear as day. I was like, he is so identified with
Mm.
his truth, with
Hmm.
his perception, and he doesn't want to let it go. Here he is at a place where they're telling him, hey, all you need to do is just, you're like this, and all you got to do is just give it a little space, bro. Just a
Yeah,
little bit of
no
space.
way.
And he couldn't, the
Yeah,
whole time. And I felt my heart went out to him. I was just like, that hurts.
it hurts. Yeah, it's a hard place to be. It really is.
Because no one's gonna cut, like they're not gonna pry that thing. No, but like no one who's like a teacher of any of the techniques or trainings that are gonna help, spiritual or otherwise, is
Mm.
going to force you to do any of this stuff,
Mm-mm.
right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the hard part about self-liberation, right? The teachers aren't, I remember one time, not one time, many times actually, sitting there with Lama, and looking him dead in the eye when he says, you just got to take the dive, right? You gotta, it's fine to sit in the shallow end of the pool and watch everybody else. And it's okay to climb up on the diving board and then climb back down. It's okay. You could do
Mhm.
that. But at some point, you just gotta make the jump, right? You gotta
Yeah.
make the leap yourself. And I was like, that's not true. I could get right up to the edge and you could push me. And he was
Oh,
like, even if it was possible, even if I could, I wouldn't. There's no
no,
way. That wouldn't be the right way.
it's not the right way. Yeah, it's a violent way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did want some, I was like, please just freaking push me.
Yes. Yeah, push me. I've
Once I
told
go
Llama
off the
that
edge
too.
once, then I'll be okay with it.
Yeah, I've told Llama that in various ways too. Like, or I'll just be like, I just want you to tell me what to do,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's not how it
So, so
goes.
since we're on the topic and we have a few minutes left, I
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
tell you
yeah.
something really evil that he did to me.
Oh no.
I think this might be the meanest thing he's ever said to me.
Oh my.
Well, so after the last darshan, as I'm leaving, he says, "Hey, have some fun."
Uh-huh.
And I was
Wow.
like, "Oh, hmm,
Fun.
fun. Okay. All right. Huh." And then I left and I'm like, "Wait, but I, all the kind of fun I know really is samsaric in nature.
Yeah.
What kind of fun are you talking like?" And then I'm like, "What do you mean fun?"
Spinning.
Right? Like, what are you? I'm like, what the hell, man? Like,
Yeah.
and then of course, I'm trying to like spiritualize it. I'm trying to like, like put it through some kind of a Dharma lens, and
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh, but that's not it either. Oh, man, I don't know what to think of this. Like, I
Yeah.
gotta say, it was one of the meanest things he's ever said to me.
What's your observation?
I don't know yet. I'm still not. I'm not suggesting that life is terrible or anything like. I just mean no, no, I don't think I don't. I think he's right. Like, I should have some fun, right?
Uh-huh.
I all kinds of thoughts about fun arise, um, but whatever the intended meaning was, I don't think I get it yet. I totally get it. So he's told me before, like, hey, before, it oftentimes ends with just one single little sentence right as I'm leaving, right? And then, like, don't fuck it up, Daniel.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I get that. I
Yeah,
get
and
it.
then like wait.
And this one, he's like, hey, have fun, have some fun. And I'm like, what? How am I supposed to interpret that? What do you mean? I don't know.
Well, the so what I'm hearing is that Lama told you to have some fun at the end of Darshan.
That's what you observe. Yes.
That's what I observed,
Right.
from what you said. Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
great.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. That is what I observed as well. What I also observed, Jack, is my mind spinning on that and making me a little bit crazy.
Which, you know, that is part of the medicine. That
Yeah,
is part of the training, yeah, is looking at that mind, that spinning mind.
indeed, indeed. Who would have thought that those little words would do that? Have some
Yeah.
fun.
3 words,
Three
three real
words.
basic.
Super basic.
Yeah.
Like
Something that lots of people say.
if you told me, Jack, tonight, like we're about to say goodbye right now, and you're like, hey, have some fun.
Have some fun.
I'd be like, yeah, yeah, sounds good, Jack. See you later.
No big deal.
No,
Yeah.
I'll have some fun, sure. The llama
So
says it,
what
and
does
I'm like,
it
wait a
mean?
minute.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. That is, I do have to say, just at the in here, like that is, I think, the hardest thing about nonviolent communication is that we know that there are other things going on than just the bare observation. It's that we don't actually know what those things are. We do know that people have tones, intentions, thoughts that they're having, feelings about us, right? But we can't know. And so just saying the observation, how it made me feel, why it,
Mm.
that's it's so hard though,
Ah,
right?
yes.
Like I know there's something else going on there. I know, what does
That's
he
a
mean by
Jack,
have
that
some
is like the
fun?
per on a thank you. On a very personal note. Thank you. That is a perfect way to end the discussion.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much. I'm really grateful for you. I'm grateful for this discussion. It's like, I think it's so um, deceptively simple and so hard.
Yeah,
Right speech. So let's keep at it.
indeed.
Yeah. If you can make a donation for folks listening, lionsroardharmacenter.org, we would so
Let
appreciate
your
that.
money talk.
Yeah, right. We'd love to observe that
Yes,
coming in.
we would have strong feelings and it would meet our needs. And what a wonderful
100%.
request from you, Jack.
100%. Great. Well, I will talk with you next week, Daniel. Look forward to seeing you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Bye, Jack.
Bye.
Have some fun.